if you should take anything from this video, is that this is not something you want to leave until old age. This is not something you want to take for granted. And if you have dependents, if you have children today, go and do your estate planning today. Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Kelly. Welcome back to my channel. If you're subby, if you're not subscribed yet, you're not part of the Homies Club, click that subscribe button, become part of the Homies Club. Guys, welcome to the money chat segment on this channel where we talk about all things personal finance. And if you're a homie, you would know that recently or sometime recently I experienced something. I don't want to call it a near-death experience, but it felt like it. I experienced something that made me think about time after this life that we have, right? So today I just wanted to talk about estate planning and how we should prepare for death, basically. You know, I thought about this and I thought that most of the people that watch my channel are in the age range of 25 to 35, and that is usually the age where people kind of don't think about things like estate planning because you're thinking you still have a whole lifetime ahead of you. But if you look at Stats SA, people don't only die when they're 65 or 80 or 90. Young people in that age range of 25 to 35 actually do pass on, and sadly enough you find that these are people that tend, because you're in working age, you tend to have dependents, people that are looking to you for their own upkeep. Maybe you have younger siblings, or you actually have a child, one or two children, you know. So this is something that is actually important that we shouldn't leave for later on in life, you know. So I thought about this and I just thought to do a quick video about how you can start estate planning and preparing for the worst, and to make sure that if it so happens that you do pass on, will the people that are dependent on you be taken care of? Have you made enough plans, or have you put in place a plan of how they can continue being taken care of in your absence? Or even if you don't have dependents, you have loved ones, you know, we need to be considerate about those things, the people that will suffer the most in the event, or the unfortunate event that we do pass on. So I came up with 4 key things that I think are important in just starting your journey to estate planning. And the first one of those is drawing up a will. Drawing up a will, this is the best way to decide beyond death how your assets should be bequeathed, or how they should be distributed between your chosen loved ones. So a will is a document that sets out how your assets and liabilities should be distributed to your beneficiaries that you elect in the time of your death, right? So this is something you want to set up first, and there's a lot of free will services actually, from sometimes I think the big 5 banks all have that service where they offer services to draft your will for free, and then they become the custodians of your will. And I think the cost that comes in that, there's always a cost, they appoint their own executor where they will charge, I think it's currently standing at 3.5% of the total estate as executor fees, something of that sort. But there are also more focused companies like Capital Legacy, and I think Momentum Trust, Sanlam, and the other company that came under fire on social media for their dodgy services when it comes to things like this. So but anyway, when you draw up a will, you want to make sure that it is very comprehensive. It lists every single one of your assets, every single one of your liabilities, and that you draft up a professional will that does not, what can I say, go against the law. And if you use these institutions, they will be able to provide you with the professional help that you'll need to draw up a proper will that at least runs less risk of being contested, because these things actually do get quite complicated after death, like, so you want to make sure that you set up a will, set it up professionally. There's lots of other options actually to write up your will. You can even write it up by yourself or with the help of a lawyer friend, or you can consult your lawyer to draw it up. The basics of it, I think, is just put to consideration your dependents, your liabilities, and your marriage contracts and things like that, right? And it must just be signed by yourself and two witnesses to make it a legal will, right? So, but I would say that just for you to be on the safe side, get professional help to draw it up so that you create a will that is solid and robust, and that will not give your dependents a headache in the time of your passing, right? And so that's the first step that you want to take. The worst thing that you want to do, especially if you have children or dependents on you, is to die intestate. Dying intestate just means that you die without a will, and now the Master of High Court or whatever institution that makes decisions of these things in your country has to decide for you by employing the country's intestate law, how your assets need to be distributed. And sometimes this might not be in the way that you would have liked. Your things might end up in the hands of people that you didn't intend for them to have, so drawing up a will is the best way in which you can decide where the fruits of your labor go. I mean, guys, we spend a lot of time working, and we have to care about the fruit of our labor, and even beyond death, especially if you have dependents. I will keep on saying this. If you have dependents, this is something you do not want to take for granted at all. It's something you want to take seriously, And often interstate laws will prioritize your family. If you don't have dependents, your siblings, your parents, and the way life is set up, it's not always a given that you actually would have wanted to leave those things to your family like that. Sometimes it might be that you maybe have strong friendships where you believe they would maybe use your assets, put it into better courses than your family could. So just drawing up a will helps. Just draw it up, and get it done. And this is something, we take this for granted, guys, and life is so fragile. You never know. You just never know. You wake up, you drive to work, you don't know whether that will be the last day. You can't calculate and say the life expectancy of South Africa, I think it's currently 65 years, and therefore you'll likely live until you're 65. So you put this off until whenever. You never know. This is not something you want to take for granted, right? So do drop a will, and when you do drop a will, review it every at least 3-5 years. This is usually advised by professionals. As I sit here, I drew up a will 4 years ago, and I'm thinking so much has happened within that 4 years. I certainly need to go and review that will and make some changes and update it. Hopefully by the time I post this video, that would have been done. I'm gonna take my own advice and take this seriously, right? The second thing that you want to do is to appoint your executor or power of attorney. This is somebody who will be responsible for the administration of winding up your estate, and you want to appoint somebody that is trustworthy, knowledgeable, and somebody who will handle your estate according to your will in good faith, right? And this executor, usually I think professionals advise that this should not be somebody who's a beneficiary of your estate, but I don't think this is actually restricted by the law, so it can be that someone. But then what the Master of High Court might require is that there should be a co-executor who is a professional who can help with the administration of winding up that estate, right? So these are conversations you want to have with your people, your loved ones, your spouse, your friends, your siblings, your children, even grandchildren if you have, so these are conversations you want to have. And you want to make sure that your will specifically points out who this person is, right? So that the Master of High Court does not appoint them for you, because they will have to if you don't appoint one. I think that follows up well from the will. Appointing your executor or power of attorney is very important. And then the third thing that you want to do is to do guardianship designations, especially, okay, this is especially for people who have children. This is very important. When you pass on and you have minor children that you're leaving behind, you need to think about their life beyond yours, and you need to think about the values of people in your circle. You need to think about who you can entrust to raising your children, and continue, not legacy, maybe like the legacy of the values in which you were instilling, or somebody who can shape them into the adults you would have wanted them to be. These are important conversations to have. Most people leave it to siblings, because of how our cultural African families are set up. It's always almost like a given that if you pass on, your brother or your sister will have to take on your children. But sometimes, I don't know. I think it's good that we have cultural things in place for things like that. But sometimes it might actually not be the most ideal situation for your children. Actually thinking about who you want to entrust your children to beyond your life or beyond your passing is actually very important. And this is a conversation I encourage us to actually have. Don't just leave it to how culture will decide it once you go. And if you do actually have siblings that you can trust for this is good. But can you actually have the conversation? While you're still alive with your siblings? In the case some people do not actually have siblings, this is where you will find that it's actually important to create and maintain healthy relationships with people who you can entrust with big life incidents like death. So I'm just saying that think about this if you have minor children, and actually have the conversation with the people that you hope will take care of your children beyond your passing. If it's your friend, if it's your sibling, sit down, have the conversation, and let them know that you wish for them to be the people that can take care of your children beyond your life. So this is something you actually want to define. So these three things are usually like the main basic things that you'll find from estate planning advisors or estate planning articles and everything, just drawing up a will, appointing a power of attorney, and documenting your guardianship designations if you have minor children. But I just wanted to throw in a fourth one that I actually think is important and should be part of estate planning, and that is having life insurance. Guys, I think having life insurance is so important, especially if you have dependents, because these are people that will suffer the most in the time of your passing, right? So how I think that life insurance could be a good I don't want to say an investment. It's not an investment, but it's a what can I say? It's a good plan to put in place for when you do pass on, which is inevitable, unfortunately, right? It's a sure thing of life, right? What tends to happen is winding up an estate can take some time. And what if you have things like a bond or mortgage, or some liabilities that you pay on a monthly basis? You have debit orders, you have this and that, so I think that having a life insurance could be a good plan to put in place, so that your dependents can be able to carry on their day-to-day expenses while they are waiting for your estate to be wound up. And also it can help them pay any uninsured debts that you might have and be leaving behind. I know that there are some life insurance policies that offer an immediate payment option, that they have a portion of the life insurance that they do pay out immediately upon reporting of death. So this might be helpful in the times, in the day-to-day, like I said, for your beneficiaries or for your dependents. at the time of death to handle their day-to-day expenses, while even the life insurance administration is still being done. In the case that the life insurance policy is part of your deceased estate, this immediate payment can help them with those obligations that they have. And winding up a deceased estate can actually take a long time. Just the administration part of it, if everything goes well, that can take time. But if you have dependents, those people might in that time might need something to help them on a day-to-day basis to cover their life expenses, right? But there are also cases where there might be deceased estate contestations, and that will cause the winding up of your deceased estate to take even longer. And what is going to happen to those people that are dependent on you? So this is why I think that having plans like life insurance put in place is actually should be an integral part of estate planning, and it should not be left out. I mean, I went through tons and tons of articles of this, and I don't quite see life insurance being mentioned, and I think that it's actually quite important. And even when you have life insurances or life policies, you also want to check them periodically, maybe like every 4 or 5 years. Make sure that you go and check that the documents are still in place. You go and check that nothing has changed regarding your policy. You want to check that the policy has not lapsed, or terms and conditions of the policy have not changed. Your beneficiary names are still the correct ones. Do consider checking from time to time that your details, the details of your life insurance policy are still clear to you, and it will still serve the purpose that you got it for, which is to help your dependents in your time, your dependents and or loved ones in the time of your death, right? So yeah, guys, I think these are the 4 key things that you can do to start your estate planning. If you should take anything from this video, is that this is not something you want to leave until old age. This is not something you want to take for granted. And if you have dependents, if you have children today, go and do your estate planning today. Like, call your bank, call Capital Legacy, Momentum Trust, whatever. Draw up a will for free. Don't leave these things until you never know. Please let me know in the comment section what you think about what we have said about estate planning. Please let me know if you have ever thought about estate planning at all, or you're just living, going with the wind. Let's discuss in the comments section. I'd really appreciate it if you just leave me a comment. And if you liked this video, please actually do like it. Click that like button. And if you're not subscribed up until now, why? Please subscribe. Guys, I hope this video was useful to you. I'll see you in my next video or vlog, whatever it will be. Bye.